All right. Hello, everybody. Wait, I have a better background for Veloren. It's like I'm going to unmute myself on stream so I can hear if I sound good. Okay, I sound all right. It's mid. Okay, here, wait. I need to do background. I forgot that we had like the default one by... Okay, there we go. That's a Veloren background right there. All right, hello, everybody. Welcome to the 0.14 release of Veloren. And so this one's been quite a long time in the making. I think like the upper limit on how long we've taken on a release has been about my webcam's so crooked. I think it's been about like 5 months is the most, and so this one was also 5 months. And so there's been like a ton of stuff going on. I think we're gonna take a look through some of it today. Hopefully we might have some of the other devs hop on in a bit, and we'll be able to chat a little bit about what stuff they've been working on. But first of all, I also want to add some background music because, yeah, there we go. Because I'm not, when I stream with StreamYard, it doesn't play like Veloren music, so it's very sad. And I'm not allowed to add in. I could add music. One sec. If one of like the admins can like DM me one of like Veloren songs, I'll try uploading them. We can just put that on repeat. That'd be pretty cool. Okay, so I want to just quickly go through some of the changes that we have for this version. And so this is just the release post we put out yesterday. So it includes like a small subsection of the change log, but we can also go take a look at some of the larger stuff. And so we'll start here, and then we'll hop into the game. The release party just started, and so the game server Griffon up here now, we're almost at 150 people. So that is awesome. And so yeah, just stepping through some of the release changes here. Some of the big ones. So I was going through because when I write this, when I put all the stuff down, I kind of try to condense it and see like what are like the general topics. And there's a lot of graphic stuff that's happened. So that's definitely really cool. We also have some of the quality of life stuff around crafting. And so like crafting, trading, some new stuff with some trees. There's some sea chapel stuff added in. Bridges is a pretty cool one. So I've seen this in the develop blog a little bit, but I haven't actually like checked it out myself. So I'm pretty excited to go see that today. There's this other one, water flow. So the changelog described it as water flows in like the proper direction now. So I definitely want to go check that out as well. What else do we have here? So this is just the full changelog that we have on GitLab. Oh yes, okay. Another big one is a switch over to Fluent for translations. So I know quite a few people have been working on this. And actually, translations is like one of the coolest things that we have on this project in one way, because it allows people to come in and contribute who maybe don't have a coding background, but want to contribute like their knowledge of their language so that people can play the game in that language. And I think that's super cool. So I think Fluent, what it helps with is like plurals and just like ways to structure what you're putting in. Okay, so what else do we have here? Yeah, so it looks like some other quality of life stuff. And then, I guess we don't have any remove stuff. Interesting. A lot of fixes, of course. Fix crash due to zooming out very far. I love doing this. Just like zoom out super far until it starts like doing really weird graphical stuff. That's always fun. Okay, so that's a little bit of the changelog. Now we don't have a trailer out for 0.14 just yet, but someone has been working on one, or I guess we're going to be working on one. So hopefully we do get like a sort of point in time check in on some of the new features here. And the other thing about this release party is that it's a bit smaller than the last ones. And the reason for this is, first of all, just like the amount of effort it takes to prepare stuff. So for example, in the last few release parties, Hannibal has gone in and made some incredible maps that people can play on, and there's been like a lot of work on that front. This one's a little bit more quiet. It's a release with all the features, and we can have a release party you can play around. But so the last release party, we were like, okay, we're gonna finally break 200 players, and then I think it was either during that release party or it was some other time in between then and now. There was like a point where we had like 400 players on the server, and we can't go higher than that. That's a lot of players. And so for this one, we're at 150 right now. We're vibing. You know, the server's not burning. Xpax is AFK today, and so it's very nice that we hopefully don't have to worry so much about everything dying. Let's just take a look at the most recent stuff. And so tick rate is quite manageable right now. It's spiking up here and there, but for the most part, it's within a certain amount of it's under 30 milliseconds, so that's good. Network's doing all right. CPU's doing all right. So this should be a relatively uneventful release party, which is like super exciting for us because the eventful ones have not have gone uphill and downhill and all around. All right, so let me swap over to Veloren itself. Okay, perfect. So let's hop into to going around checking some stuff out. I know. So one thing with StreamYard is I know that the bandwidth for playing stuff, like I'll walk around a little bit. I'm watching on YouTube as well to see how stuff is. Oh gosh, is it actually like this terrible? Let me just see what it looks like when I walk around. It's all right. Okay, not the best. And also not the best because we're going to be going through quite a few graphics items as well, and so we'll see how that does. There's a very cool dragon right here just chilling. So I don't have a full exhaustive list of everything that we can check out. I'm telling the other mods and admins, like, just give me extra content that we can go through as we're exploring stuff today, and so we'll see what kind of stuff comes up there. But one thing that Cesare did mention, and is incredibly clear as soon as I load in, is like these reflections on the ground of like the houses around. And so I've seen some of this stuff on reflections before. I think we were like in some dev chat or something like that, and we were kind of, Cesare was showing off some of the stuff with just like reflections in the water, or maybe I was streaming, I forget. But we saw, oh, the sun's in the water. Oh, that's very nice, very nice. But as soon as I loaded in here, I did not expect the these reflections here. So this is like super cool. And also the fact that you can like see players and stuff in it. Like this is like, and forgive my lack of not understanding all the technical magic, but this is very RTX-esque, I would say. You got like the rain, you got like the buildings and everything like that. This is super cool. And my graphics card is not insanely amazing. I tend to play my stuff on GeForce now, and so I'm very impressed with how well this is doing. Okay, yeah. So we have. I asked one of the admins to put me in a party so we could just do stuff together. I don't know if I'm in a party just yet. If someone wants to send me an invite, then I will join, and they can add other players or anything like that. Yeah. So okay. First of all, let's try zooming out and seeing if we can crash the game. Okay. Okay. It's limited to how far we can zoom out now. We can no longer cause disruptions in the space-time continuum. Okay, I love how it looks when you zoom out just a little bit. Like the village is very, very nice right now. Okay, so. Okay, I haven't gotten any Veloren music. Give us a second. Go to the Veloren SoundCloud. Veloren SoundCloud. Can I even easily download on one of the tracks? Wait, what upload? Someone in chat, space update. Okay, if I add music, can I only add? I'm only allowed to do stuff I'm authorized to do. Okay. I must have it on my system as well because it's all stored in the Veloren directory. Give me a second to just try and find this. Okay, Veloren. Assets. Common. I forget the exact path of audio. Oh, Oxygen audio soundtrack. Okay. Town. Can I do an OGG file? Let's give this one a go. Drop music. Okay. Uploading. All right, let's give this a go. Let's see if we can get some. It would be cool if you had like a Veloren mix that I could download and just play. It's just all the songs kind of mixed together. Yeah, it works. Okay, so I'll have that on. I'll add a few others here as well. The audio team, well done with all these songs. As always, I mean, every time I listen to new ones, it's just very mind-blowing how good they're. Okay, so I was processing a lot of audio there, so I can change stuff every once in a while. All right, I have someone in my group. I do not know who they are, but that should be all right. Oh, such good music. All right, shaking a look. So, okay, another thing is for most live streams of, and let me just change out my video there. Okay, so for most live streams, we have not had a ton of people, and so if you have questions in chat, feel free to put them in. I can go over stuff as much as I can. I wouldn't mind spending a decent amount of time kind of going through stuff. Lots of hellos. Hello, everybody. Oh yeah, so someone's saying that they can't join the party. Yeah, we're notoriously bad at telling people ahead of time when there's a release party coming up. I think if we just made the Discord events earlier, it would help out. So we knew like 3 weeks ago that we'd be releasing Nowish. And it's also just dependent on the fact that I was able to stream today and not next week. So that's kind of how we decide when we're when we're gonna release something. All right. I've never experienced crashes because of zooming. I don't think I have either. I went out super far because it's kind of fun to just like push the edges of what can be done. Dragons are amazing. Yeah, I definitely agree. We'll run high settings on a GTX 1060. I imagine so. Yeah, so I guess we haven't done we've done benchmarking in the sense that like we want to make sure that low end hardware can run the game, but we haven't really done so much in the sense of this piece of hardware can run it at this many frames per second. So we got to get that Linus Tech Tip video. We gotta like make Veloren a benchmark that LTT can use for all the all the new devices. Okay. There'd be new types of trays that sell some rare stuff. I'm not entirely sure. I think when it comes to like a lot of the design of how merchants work and everything like this, it's a little bit interesting because we don't necessarily, as far as I know, we don't necessarily seed the information by just saying have all of this random stuff in this merchant, but instead it's much more based on the economy of the game. And so the reason for that, okay, I can play and okay, it's daytime now. I can play and talk. Okay, so because we want to do everything or as much as we can, very, very procedurally, then when we have like a village was created here in the world gen because the economy of this village interacted with the economy of another village, and so a village was placed here. And this is like sort of akin to Dwarf Fortress's ability to have like hundreds of years of history generation. And so building off of this, you then want to make sure that the economies of the villages when you're playing the game are still based on this history and are still based on what's going on in the town and the towns around, what kind of resources are there. So I think some stuff can be seeded, but for the most part, it tries to come from that economy simulation. And I haven't taken a look at it in a long time, but Christoph has some amazing spreadsheets that like simulate economy and is some very fun and cool stuff. Okay, let's see. Wait, if there's a bridge nearby. Okay, so let's go over here first. Okay, where is that? Oh yeah, I'm also using my like cheatsy little fly around kind of thing. Oh, I landed right on it. All right, yes. Okay, so yeah, so I think there's a few things with pathways that okay, and I just gotta say here, I just saw the reflection down by the water. Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. So a few things with pathways that are pretty exciting now and coming up. And so I'm not really sure what sits on in terms of like we have these different site systems that place stuff around the world and paths go between them. But with the bridges over rivers, so this is like a much more extensive bridge. This looks like it was like architected over like a well I mean the way that this is generated is the same way as far as I know is the same way as our very, very large trees where there's procedural rules for how they get set up and built and all of this. And so this bridge, for example, it's has arches and it's like a certain length. Hopefully we can find like a much larger bridge that kind of shows off some other stuff, but it's really kind of cool how it interacts with the path. It gets you from one side to another. And it looks like it has much more purpose as like the world was, it was built around the world. It wasn't just sort of placed out of randomness. Okay, so I'm also loving the water kind of feel. Looking down, you can like feel it gets darker as it gets deeper and deeper. Yeah. Take a look at chat here. Oh yes, Nico mentioning that they saw Alan reviews Veloren video. Yeah, I was working with Alan a little bit on prepping some of the stuff for the Veloren review, so that was a pretty cool video. Hannibal mentioning still the greatest screenshot ever. So yeah, like when we have the countdown right before the stream, it also says Veloren Reading Club because I'm too lazy to render another one that says Veloren Release Party. But it's a great picture that we use there, and so that's good. G'day from the land down under. Isn't it like 2 a.m. for you? I respect you. I respect the hustle of being here on the Sunday morning. Are you planning to market the game? So this is a great question. I think where we're sitting right now, we've had the ability to get a lot of people to find out about the game. And this is also built not just directly from our communities, but a lot of other communities as well. And so since the last release party, we saw a lot of people from Latin America coming and playing the game, and communities being built, and Discord servers, but also game servers being hosted in Latin America. And for us, this is awesome because, first of all, our team, it's a very global team, but it is difficult to make sure that you have people from like everywhere around the world who speak all different languages. And so, for example, we have a lot of people in Germany, we have some people in Eastern Europe, we have some people in North America, some people in France. And so there's a lot of languages covered, but we really don't have as many people from Latin America or Spain or Portugal. And so having, oh gosh, is it attacking me? That's something else. Having communities that sort of prop up on their own for the things that we can't represent ourselves as easily is really awesome to see. And so, for example, when it comes to the Latin America, or I guess like the Latin American community, it's been really awesome that YouTubers have been playing the games and encouraging other people to play it. And there's been a ton of YouTube videos that have a ton of views that are all in Portuguese or Spanish, and that is like super cool to see from that part. So as for marketing, we get a lot of word of mouth. We get when people want to play the game, when communities go off and show stuff. Okay, this is very cool. People have come to find me, and we're hanging out together. So yeah, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to showing stuff off, there is that side. There's also the side of it's like too large too fast. And so this sort of happened when we didn't have as many community servers hosted, and the Latin American community came and played, is that we had like 200 to 300 people online at like peak, and it would just like slow down the game a lot, and our game server couldn't host it. And we're the only official game server, which to a certain extent means that you have to, like, if you want to have like official items and all of this, then you'd have to play on our server, or in the future our cluster of servers to share your items and have that experience. So yeah, seeing people host their own servers in different locations, when you have like the incentive, you want to play with your community, and your community is in a region that is super far away from our game server, then it's awesome to see that has grown up a lot more, or it's gotten out there. People are wanting to host the game. Now, in terms of other types of marketing, so the biggest one that we've thought of for a long time, and we've heard from a lot of people, is hosting the game on Steam. And this would be like such a massive thing to have, is like you Steam releases, people are able to play through Steam, people are able to download the game for free, like on Airship or all this kind of stuff. But there are logistics behind that we need to figure out. And, well, it's more like bureaucracy, I suppose. We have to become like a proper entity, a legal entity, to be able to have something on Steam. And then there's other stuff that we have to work through, like have sort of like being able to interact with certain Steam APIs. You can't do that as a GPL project, as far as I know, or it just goes by some of those kind of stuff. So you have to find like proxies to go through. And Bark is working on some cool stuff there, I think. All right, sorry everybody who's there with me. We're flying in cheatsy mode over to another place. So I just said their client froze completely. Yeah, my computer's been doing something recently where oh wait, did I just completely fly by? I did. Xpra, which I just think is something with Xorg, has been like, no, I'm okay. So Xpra has been like has like a memory leak or something, and just completely obliterating the memory on my computer, and then I freeze. And so I have HTOP open on the side, and I'm trying to keep an eye on that in case it happens. But we're doing all right. Okay. Are there plans on improving the PvP? Since there isn't much of it in the main server, I was hoping the game would get some PvP love instead of some PvE. So yeah, this is another awesome question. So a lot of people, there's like, when you come from the Cube World community, when you've played Cube World, when you've played other games that are similar to this genre, then you definitely find that there's a lot sort of to be wanted in terms of story, in terms of combat, in terms of missions. And so, oh my gosh, this is a cool bridge. Wow. Love the architecture. So when it comes to a lot of this, there are certain decisions we want to make. Like when it comes to dungeons, we do a lot of balancing. We have the bosses that we create and a lot of this. But the most natural extension to how this is set up, so that it doesn't necessarily have to be the core team that chooses everything, is through some type of modding or plugin system. And so more like you can make your own models for bosses. You can have them drop their own stuff. Install those mods onto your server and play like this. And so there's that front where we kind of want to get more being able to be created that isn't necessarily directly done by us. And then there's also the side of, okay, well, what other objectives can you have in the game? Like, for example, right now, we don't really have a place where you could go and then do like a fighting Coliseum type of thing. Or get loaded into, like some game mode that, and I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of these come down to game mode. Like, it'd be really cool if we could all, I type in a command, we all go to the top of the mountain, and we have to race down in gliders. And we've done this in Release Party. We sort of like put up objectives, but those aren't enforced by game mechanics. Like, it's just kind of you fly through and see how you do. So there are a lot of systems that would have to be put in place to kind of see these things happen. We're definitely not opposed to them. Like, I think it would be a ton of fun to think through this and work on it, but it definitely does take a lot of work. Will the Veloren developers fix the dungeon from having lower floor exposed to just enter from there, just avoiding the rest of the dungeon entrance? Yeah, I think probably stuff like that. Like, yeah, if there's a dungeon, you're able to get right into the bottom type of thing. There's, I mean, with every game that's procedurally, there's always the intention that we have when we play stuff in the world. So the intention we have when we get stuff to randomly spawn and procedurally do stuff in certain ways, and then there's interactions that arise from stuff not working perfectly correctly. And so yeah, that would be like an example of the dungeon. Some rule of it isn't as easy to manage. Oh, let's sit by the fire. All right, taking a look at some other questions here. Will Veloren ever keep track of the NPC's teeth like Dwarf Fortress does? I don't know exactly how, or like the specific teeth thing, but I know Dwarf Fortress is very extensive on caring about very minute details, such as how much alcohol is on cat's fur. I think it's relatively easy to do stuff in this vein because with an entity component system, you just create a component, attach it to stuff, and do stuff with behavior based on that. And so maybe you don't want to count all the hairs on an NPC's head, but you can come up with quite interesting interactions from a lot of this. Someone said woohoo Germany. Yes, we got quite a few developers from Germany, which is super cool. I've definitely like thought about it a lot, how grateful I am that I've been able to over like the last few years to work with people on like such a global scale. And that's like one of the really cool things about open source, is that you get like a lot of these opportunities. I love the clouds here. Sorry, they're like flowing in and out of existence. Normally you're not meant to be traveling this fast, and so clouds don't tend to do this. But I'm asking a lot of the server right now, I think. Well, rather, sorry, not me. We are asking a lot of the server. Okay, let's turn on my lantern here. Let's take a look over at it. All right, so we're at 140 players right now. Not bad. Wait, are we? Sorry. Yeah, no, okay, 140. All right. Congrats on the release. Thanks, Rob. I really love the trading system where you can get scammed if you're unsure how to sell and buy items. Yeah. This is definitely one thing, is like learning more about how to make better tutorials, or rather any tutorial in general, to teach you how to go through interactions and all of this kind of stuff. But yeah, getting like the dynamic of trying a trade for the first time, not exactly sure what how everything is confirmed, and then losing all your stuff. Because so all the trades happen and get sent to. So on our server we have a SQLite database, and so everything that is traded is done in like a database transaction. So it's not just a client side. Let me just put this back in. It's maybe on different servers, like you can do that pretty easily. But is my mic dying? Right. Someone said that like, oh, okay, 6 minutes ago. I was like, let me listen to myself. Yeah, it's all right-ish. The mic I have, I took it to my university to record something, and then I broke the port at the bottom, and then my brother fixed it. And I'm kind of just accepting that I need to like redo my audio setup so that I have it like nice and close to my face, and also my video setup. I wouldn't mind redoing that so that you don't see my screen on the left. That'd be cool. What's my personal thought on the movement and combat in game? Do you like how fighting is currently implemented in the game, or could it be improved on? I think one thing is that like for a lot of systems, we're not trying to say that very many of them are final at all, and I think a lot of them have like a lot of opportunity to be improved and changed and iterated on. However, I think as well there are some things that are working incredibly well as of now, and one of the biggest things that then a side effect of it is how you move, is the sort of like the physics system that defines how like kinematics works. I think like you jump and then you fall with a certain amount of gravity, and like sort of like the way you flow feels a little bit more smooth and less responsive than other like potentially like fighting games and combat games and a lot of this. But that is a byproduct of the fact that everything related to movement is going through a system, which means that when we have the glider physics are incredible, quite realistic in comparison to a lot of them. And so the way that you can fly and speed up and slow down, and the way that air hits the glider is all very, very different than sort of just a like an experience where you are just moving at a certain speed with aerodynamics, but like not all of everything implemented, I think. Now that being said, though, I don't think we necessarily need to go down the path of making sure that it's perfect in comparison to everything else. I think it can very much be its own thing, and still have improvements, but not necessarily feel that it needs to follow a recipe of how movement in games works. And I mean, the first time I flew down a mountain with the glider, I was like just sold. I'm like, okay, whatever needs to happen to make this work, like just to stay this way, is perfect. I love it so much. Which is why we really need to get on like having glider races, because like this is so much fun. Okay. What are 3 words you can think of to describe Veloren? I'm not good at like that 3-word thing. I'm not good at word games ever, and so I'll think on that for a while. Yeah. Oh, I have someone in chat. I'm the dragon who follows you. Very good, very good. Does Veloren use physics for the physics system? So that's a pretty good question. And so, as far as I know, physics is a physics system that I feel like is developed by Microsoft, and NVIDIA, right? I think NVIDIA makes physics, but it's probably a physics engine that allows you to do all like it all the math, all the so I guess like another question is quite similar that we get asked quite often is what engine does Veloren use? And what's really cool is that Veloren from the ground up is developed in it's developed in Rust, but we've built all of these engines ourselves. So all the physics, a developer worked on like this entire physics system that simulates everything. We might use different Rust scripts for different parts of physics. For example, like with some of the math and stuff like that. But overall, that system was created specifically for Veloren in the same way that our world generation system was created specifically for Veloren, instead of using some other system. And the game engine part of things, game engine can be a lot of different things. If we think of it just sort of as like what runs during the game loop, what does all the calls to drawing and ties everything together, then even that we've developed all of that ourselves. And so yeah. Okay. Just checking the chat on Discord as well. All right, so we got some Aurora Borealis happening. Let's go back to the hello. All right, back to the spawn over here. So is there still infinite zoom out? So I did try this. It looks like it's capped to a certain amount. Yeah. Oh gosh, I love this. I love interesting graphic stuff. It's so cool to watch. Think about all the math that's happening. Okay, so it looks like it's capped at a certain amount, which makes sense. I mean, we've had ideas in the past of like, okay, if you zoom out enough, does it turn into like the map of the area? Is there a reason not to zoom out so much? And I mean, arguably, when we zoom out like this, it does turn into a map of the world because we have LOD and everything, which is a pretty awesome feature to have in a in a game like this. Now, yeah, okay, so I can't really see so well on my screen, and StreamYard is like omega compressing. Am I even watching 720p? So we can see with LOD, we can see trees around the world, but we can't see villages just yet. So I can definitely imagine some improvements on the system where I go out into this like zoomed out mode, and then I'm able to sort of like scroll around, look at the different villages on the map, and zoom back in. Yeah, I think there's some pretty cool stuff that could be done there. Is the map going to get bigger expansions in the future? So the map that is in here right now, if I zoom out on like this the game map here, this map is generated specifically for the server to play on. As far as I know, the only of course, like you couldn't make it massive. Like there's a limit, but the only thing that really affects how large we want to make the map is how long it takes to generate and then find like a good one. So for example, when we were building this map, or rather generating this map, we were thinking in terms of what we were thinking in terms of what does what we want to show off. We want to make sure we have mountains, we want to make sure we have some desert biomes, we want to make sure that there's a lot of water and lakes and this kind of stuff, so we can show off the different features. And so that's what we do. And so essentially every time that we need to make a new one, someone will just be like, so last time I was generating like 10 of them, I would go in, take a screenshot, write down the seed in case you wanted to use that one. Then we talk about, okay, what looks good, what looks bad. The reason that takes so long to generate is because there's a lot of steps that happen during this process. One of the largest ones is the erosion simulation. And so this is how we get mountains to look like they do. This is how we get rivers to flow into larger basins. And this is something that is difficult to speed up. I don't want to say impossible, but I know that Sharp has done an insane amount of work on getting fast world gen speeds, and so this one is it takes like let's say for me to get a render of a map, it probably takes about 10 minutes to render the final version, and so iterating over that and finding a good one is a bit difficult. Let's try this one. All right. So we could generate a much larger map, and you can play on this. But as for like an infinite map, we can't do that because of how the generation works. You can't have like so with Minecraft generation, it's like okay, we generate another chunk, and we're going to just like find out what's there at that point. With us, we need to say okay, well, we would need to say in that case, in the far distance where we don't know anything about just yet. Is there a city there? Do they have economy? Should we be interacting with them? We don't really know that before we generate everything. So by generating everything first, we're able to say, okay, we have the villages here, they're interacting with one another and doing stuff like that. So I think we could have larger maps, like 4 times as larger. And that might allow for different dynamics of history that might allow for quest lines and stuff like that. Yeah. All right, when it comes to next daytime, we'll go explore some water, I think. Oh, interesting. So some of the things I've encountered on the map is that some villages do not exist, even if it says so on the map. That's pretty interesting. I hadn't really thought about that, but I guess so it would be that they weren't placed. I forget which part of generation does like that, the placement of the villages. I think it's when the server starts, but I could be mistaken. Oh gosh, what's happening here? That was fireworks. I was dying or something. Okay, is it daytime-ish? All right, let's go explore. Let's go explore some other villages. Let's go. Oh wait, did I already? All right. I know there's also been some work on more hill villages and stuff like that, or cliff villages, I suppose. Oh, wait, we're here. We have arrived. So this town should be a little bit less busy. There's some NPCs going around. What's the purpose of castles? I get to figure out anything involving them. So I'm not entirely sure what the state of castles is in particular, but when it comes to how we go about sort of adding stuff into the game, a lot of the stuff is built from models first, and so you'll have like these are models we want to put in the game. So this happens a lot with the different NPCs, the different bosses, and this kind of stuff. And if it's a boss, then you might say it spawns in this dungeon, it has this much health. You do like the design based around that. If it's a for example, when we do like the release parties, we'll have large maybe like Hannibal will create this entire model, and then we load it in sort of somewhere in the world so we can go plan it. And then we also have like the procedurally generated things. And so, for example, like the villages are all procedurally generated. There's like a lot of several different algorithms working together to first of all decide how the streets are laid out, where the houses are, and then once we know that, then you can start building how the houses actually look and placing like one floor on top of another. And so a lot of different systems here. When it comes to castles, as far as I know, and some other things around the world, and so maybe you go into the desert and you find some like big dinosaur bones. These are all procedurally generated as well, but it doesn't really define as far as I know, it doesn't define how what else should happen around them. So, for example, oh, hello. Should there be but that's also another feature of 0.14, I think. Yeah, the doors. What was this? Yes. Okay. So you go to this big this is dragons, and as far as I know, it doesn't say something like there should be stuff spawned here. Well, I might be mistaken about that because we have like the not well. I guess even dungeons is an example of it. So dungeons, you'll spawn something here, you'll spawn stuff into it. But then there's also gnarling fortresses. So yeah, okay, like gnarling fortification. So you say in this area, there's gonna be a gnarling fortification built with all of these rules, and then you are going to spawn in a whole bunch of gnarling enemies that you're gonna fight. So the whole point of this is to say when it comes to castles, which if I go okay, so we got a castle here. Let's go take a look at a castle. Now I might be able to get Zester on in a little bit to chat about some stuff, and so we can kind of talk about this a little bit more. Let's go look at this castle in the mountains. Yeah, what's someone in chat? This game has so much bloom, way too much if you ask me. I know we have like the knob and settings that you can turn up and turn down. I think bloom is really awesome as a thing that we're like that us as developers can say, okay, it should have this much bloom. Right now, it's more of a you adjust if something can have bloom. It's either gonna be a ton of bloom or a little bit of bloom. So, for example, on my lantern right now, it's really cool that it has like that little amount of oh gosh, I passed it again. That little amount of light around it, and then when you're looking at dragons, that's super cool to see as well. So I think all of that can be adjusted in the future. Okay, so we got the castle over here. All right, so the point that someone's making is they don't know what to do with castles at this point. There's not so much going on with them, and so what's the purpose of them? And so what I would predict is so they have the rules to be constructed. So we have like the castle walls and stuff like that, and it's a little bit interesting how this one's set up where you have it kind of on the side of a mountain, and so over here, me as like the marauder or whatever, I'm just gonna hop in to say hi. But the potential for this in the future can be as like a location where maybe politically they have like alignments with the villages around them, and there's like a whole bunch of soldiers in here, and a lot of this should be relatively possible to set up in some type of system that interacts with the economy, interacts with the world generation and real-time simulation. Maybe there's like more houses inside of here. We have a campfire over here that we can set at, but some big building over here. Oh, this castle's inhabited by the raccoon. Very cool. Airship crashes for me if I open Veloren and close the Veloren window. There's definitely a lot of stuff that can go wrong. I think the best course of action is to file an issue with some of the details on that. Are there going to be NPC quests added in the future? So yeah, definitely like another thing that's been sought after. I remember talking about this back in as a player. Yes. I've been talking about this in meetings back in like 0.5, and I mean even earlier we've always thought about story and stuff like that. There's a lot to consider in terms of quests and how they persist, and a lot of this kind of stuff. Let's log into something else here. Will there be like blacksmith and brewery shops like in Cube World where you can sell ores and glass vials other than merchants? I'm not entirely sure about that specific type of thing, but those interactions are definitely reasonable. Surprised YouTube's actually encoding all of these particle effects. Holy smokes. A lot of fireworks. Oh, hello, Issa. One second. You want to add me to a group, Issa? Can you morph into animals, or is that an admin power? To be honest, I'm not entirely sure what the restrictions on it are. I know you can spawn stuff to a certain extent to like morph in, or I guess like take control of like mounts and stuff like that. Oh, what's this? Hello. Oh, it's a Cyclops. Wow, that's very imposing. I love the eyes. All right. Kind of chilling. Goodbye, Never Guy. Ooh, is the air balloon be a viable traveling system in the future? Like, could you, charter an air balloon to take you somewhere, or an airship? I definitely feel like that could be a thing, or either that, or there's just stuff going in between villages and you pay a fare for that. We got a bank for the items. When it comes to like item storage and item transfer between either accounts or players, there's definitely a lot to consider on this front. So especially around stuff like how it gets sent between team servers. And so, for example, if we have like a fleet of official Veloren servers and you want to transfer yours from one server to another, what does that look like? If it's just between one character and another, what does that look like? So I think there's like a decent amount needs to be thought about for this, especially because if we want other like hosting providers to be able to host their own large scale version of Veloren on multiple servers around the world, then these systems would need to be pretty much in place. All right, doing a little bit of flying here. Can you explain how the world save system works? So yeah, in terms of like compression and how stuff is stored. And so when it comes to the world itself, the entire world is saved in a file that describes like stuff like height maps and what the terrain looks like, and it doesn't care as much about where trees are placed and where villages are placed and all of this. So that's not saved as of right now, as far as I know. So that means every time you restart the server, all of these things will be regenerated, but they'll still be regenerated from the same starting point, so they'll all end at the same. But we don't save any of that. Then on the other hand, when you load stuff into the world that you want to persist, and so let's say, for example, when we do our release parties, we load these like very big models into the map that you can go and explore. And so like the last one was the Pirate Cove. And for that, we have server persistence turned on, or I guess map persistence turned on. And so that would, as far as I know, just store each chunk that gets changed in a format that's pretty efficient. And I mean, it's a type of thing where if like a very large objective of ours was to make it similar to Minecraft, where you do a lot of changing of the, like, for example, I might want to dig down here and go to like a mine or something like that, then it would be much more important that we focus on this a lot, how you send it across the server, how you store it, how you save it. But yeah, for the most part, I think all the stuff. So that's like the terrain of the world. And then there's also like the stuff that you save as the character. And so the stuff that I've equipped, the stuff that I've gained. I guess Lisa, if you want to TP me to you, then that'd be perfect. Yeah, so all the stuff on my character, on my inventory, this is all saved separately. So it's not in the same way that a chunk is saved. The chunk is saved like to a file, as far as I know. But then on the other hand, all of the stuff in my inventory that's here goes to that SQL database that I was mentioning. Okay, 1 sec. Let's see if I remember how to TP these. All right. Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. So Isa asked if I could come over here to check out some of the stuff that's happening in like the savannah and desert. Okay, this is awesome. I'm not entirely sure what this is. This is a town. Okay, very cool. Wait, no, sorry, no, that's where I am. Wait, is that where I am? Yes, that's where I am. Okay. So this is a town. Wow, I love this. It's kind of like a mine in the desert a little bit. So we got some villagers and everything. All right, let's take a look around here. So we got some internal areas over here. Oh, nice. We got a little bit of a bed, a little house over here. Maybe a little bit of a climbing area to the surface, or up a tower or something. Wait, I can tutorial. Thank you. No more tutorial for now. I love the smoke coming out of the ground. So rundown what's new in 0.14. Some of the big things we got, like the graphics of like reflection in water, which we saw in like the home, like the home village. I don't know if this village is new. I could have just not seen it earlier, but I mean, this is just something that's very new to myself. We have some new combat stuff. I think there's like some new swords. But we do have like the release posters, so you can go take a look there at what's going on. There's barely any mobs spawn on mountains. Are they supposed to be safe spots? Yeah, that's a good question. I think I am curious on how the villager. I'm curious on how stuff is sort of like says to spawn around the world. So, for example, when I go into the woods, what says that there's a percentage chance that something spawns there? And so, for example, if we have maybe sorry, I lost my train of thought. If we have a castle, for example, or Gnarling Fortress, there's a lot of stuff that will spawn there, and it's like a very high combat zone. But when there's other stuff in the woods, it's not really like a massive amount as you're walking around that you'd come across to fight. Or on mountains, I suppose. Are there player logs that have information like how many specific animal kills or amount of stones found? I don't think there's logs. I think those types of things, like those stats, would be something we store in the database. And so we more specifically say this is a thing that we want to track, and then we're going to have something in the database to track it for each player. Now, for the most part, we don't want to be hitting the database all the time. And so, for example, when a trade happens, when a change to my state happens, I get a new item, anything like that, then yes, we do want to be updating that. But oh my goodness, that's a firework that's like the brightest of the sun, the flashbang firework. Yeah, so when it comes to when storing that type of stuff, I think it would be cool to have some type of system that stores like a lot more of the information about what players have done, or what your character has done. I remember my friend being mauled by a player-tamed animal. It was weird. I'd love to see it. Oh, yeah. So another really good question. Have you considered removing the lantern and glider from players when they start the game? And so you have to like acquire stuff to be able to get it. I think definitely in terms of like game design, it definitely makes a lot of sense to start the players out with very little, and then you have to go through some type of questing to start acquiring these different tools. But I think that does require thinking on what that system would look like in the first place of character sort of advancement. A lot of design stuff for sure. I need progress with the Steam Deck. I have not, as far as maybe someone else has tried it recently. I feel like either somebody on Twitter or someone mentioned something. I have not tried to play Veloren on my Steam Deck of recent. So it wouldn't be. So most of it worked. It's just a lot of it was just like remapping, I think, some of the controls to better suit the Steam Deck. All right, let's see it. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is not what I was expecting at the bottom of the village here. However, it makes a lot of sense. We got like little gardens and everything. Oh, this is so cute. Oh my goodness. I wonder if this is like so it's like a little greenhouse versus a shop. Oh, well, unlucky. Goodbye, flowers. My house is mine. I won't trade it for anything. I really like so we were talking earlier about sort of how villages are generated, how castles are generated. And as far as I understand, it's like you're combining a lot of shapes together so that you can make something that looks a certain way. So for example, with a house, you maybe start with a cube, and then you'd have a smaller cube on the inside that's a subtractive cube. So now you have one cube that just has like a held it inside, and then you'd add another maybe cube that is subtractive for the door, and so on and so forth. And so this one, it looks like you put a lot of cylinders together and you get something that looks like this. But what I'm finding interesting is the tiling art sort of. And so maybe this was a non-CSG shape, and so for example someone modeled it in some other software and then brought it in. But I really like the patterns as like mosaic inspired sort of. Yeah, maybe I'm completely wrong. There's probably like an art style that very much describes having patterns like this. So yeah, one point here, native Steam Deck support. And so native Steam Deck support, I would infer in the way of it's like a first class experience sort of thing. Like I go on, it has all the controls. I'm able to interact with Airshipper properly and use a controller. I'm able to go into game and do everything that I would need through the controller. So yeah, there's definitely some work that needs to be done there. What's a long-term goal? Where do you think your current development is along your dev goals? So I think, first of all, it being like a hobby project means that everybody has like a lot of different goals for themselves. And so a lot of us might have come in excited about what this game could be in comparison to other games we've played in the past, and kind of like wanting to explore it from that perspective. And then some people might have come in, and actually quite a few people have come in not having known about Cube World or other similar games and just wanted to work on a game in Rust, and this was like a really great example of that. And so we've had a lot of developers from that perspective. And so I think everybody comes in with sort of different goals and expectations. As for the project, I think we've definitely just talked about a lot of our goals over time. Ooh, cool. Here's like some of the dinosaur bones I was talking about. Actually, this doesn't look like that dinosaur bones. It looks like a hut that is dilapidated over time. So for myself, one of my like the goals I really want to see is like a really, really strong story and questing game. A really strong story and questing system. And something that is very extensive. You can add a lot of different interactions. You can add a lot of different sort of like reason for story to happen. And most importantly, because it interacts with the rest of the world. And when we have these world simulation, world generation, history systems, all of this magic, then it's really cool to see what can happen sort of in this perspective of how does that interact with the story. So I think that's one of my big goals. And the second one is to have an amazing plugin system. And it's something that I've been wanting to contribute to for a while. There's been some really smart people who have worked on like some of the initial stuff for the plugin system. And I think it'd be awesome to be able to define a lot of things through the plugin system in terms of how this, maybe like you want to add a new quest, then you define it in some terms in a mod, in the plugin. Maybe you want to add a new character, maybe you want to add a new, like make an entire maybe mod pack or plugin pack. And this sort of just redefines how a lot of things in the game work. I think that'd be super cool to make it a really, or add to the layer of, we don't need to make everything perfect ourselves. We can rely on the community a lot more for that and help the community ship their own really awesome things. It doesn't need to be like in the main repository type of thing to be considered like an awesome Veloren experience, I think. Can you ride on a phoenix? Someone's been following me around with a dragon, someone's been following me around with a phoenix and a parrot. And so it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. I don't know how to do it myself, but you know. Are you going to add more loot tables? By loot tables, I think you mean like if you're fighting certain enemies or something. I think, yeah, loot, if I'm not mistaken, and I could very well be mistaken, I think loot tables are unique per enemy or per enemy type or per location or something like this. And so maybe myself as a plugin developer, I'd want to have access to what this enemy drops. And maybe I make a custom item that is for a quest or something like that. I'd kind of want to be able to define that without too much external complexity. I'd want to say, or rather internal complexity. I wouldn't want to have to rewrite Veloren to be able to add that stuff in, and so I haven't been able to find any quest givers or quest a thing yet. Or are they hard to find? So they're not a thing yet unless there's some form of them. And there's a lot to think about on that front. So one of the big problems that we've not really been blocked on, but something that we do want to consider is in terms of the history of the game, since we're basing stuff off that, how does a quest that takes place over over a period of time in the game happen? So for example, if we start the game, are there a certain amount of quests? If we have to migrate the game to a new status and we need to get rid of these quests because we're upgrading the game, then if we say, okay, we just simulate 200 more years into the future, and what does this do to the quest? How do they interact? What does like a server restarting do to quests? How does stuff get changed in between servers and all this kind of stuff? Because there's different types of quests. There's go find 8 apples in the woods, go kill this thing, go take this thing to this person. But then there's a lot of grander quests, I would say. And so in terms of there's going to be, there's like currently like a political tension between these two kingdoms on this map, and you can do things to help out this larger goal with like a lot of other players. And these are two different, or these systems would require like a lot of different things, I think. That being said though, I don't know if anybody has taken up the mantle on like being like the main quest person. So I think, yeah, the main person to do a lot of this work. Yeah. So another point here, a lot of people love about Cube World or other similar games was this grind feeling of being able to get rewarded from going to kill complex dungeons. And so you get to the bottom of a dungeon, you get maybe this like one piece of a set, you get maybe you want to like get all of the items from the set, you want to grind it out so you get the set because it's like really good for your play style. It gives you like a lot of buffs and stuff like this, and I think that type of thing should definitely be something that's like really well defined in the plugin system, is how you can go about describing a dungeon, describing the stuff that you get from killing a boss, describing what this set does, how a set interacts with other items in the set, and so on. Yeah, and another point, I would love to see early game quests to help players get used to the game and upgrade their character. That's a big one. a lot of players when they start for the first time, they say, I don't really know what to do. And there's a certain amount that you can kind of. I've played an RPG game before. I'm going to go into the woods. I'm going to try to kill stuff. Oh, that stuff is too hard for me to kill. Okay, I'm going to go kill other stuff. I'm going to get a better weapon. It says it has more damage, so it probably does more damage. You can take like a lot of context clues from that kind of stuff. What do you think is the hardest item to find in Veloren? I don't know. I haven't looked too much on the design side of what spawns and what doesn't spawn. Wait, actually, the hardest item to find, probably like the admin items I have. If you're on the main game server, gotta get that admin privilege to be able to fly around like me. Is there an underwater exploration option in the future, or what might? Ooh, very nice sunrise. So underwater exploration. Right now, you can dive, you can swim around. But I definitely think that it's a. Sorry, everybody following me. I'm going to teleport over to the water. So water is a thing that is quite unexplored. We've had sort of story written for a race that would live underwater and like have their very large cities and a lot of stuff like that. And I definitely think there's a lot that can be done. And in other games where you might dive down, you might have different types of combat you can do underwater. Maybe there's like different quests that you have to go do. I think there's quite a lot of stuff there. I'm close to the edge of the map. Well, let's go to the lake over here and take a look and think about that a little bit. Have I seen Hightail? What do I think about it? I don't know if I've. If I looked at a picture, I'd probably recognize it, but I haven't played it, and I haven't played Trove a lot either. I played Cube World a decent amount with my friends, and then of course Minecraft. But yeah, I think that's one of the really cool things about. So a lot of people will look at games like voxel games and say, "Oh my gosh, they're so beaten into the dirt. Everybody's already done everything that they possibly can." And I think there's a few different sides. There's the side of there's a lot that you can explore very easily because you're making a world out of blocks, and you don't have to make everything look perfect. You can focus on a lot of different things. You can focus on generation, you can focus on storytelling, you can focus on different types of combat, you can focus on the way the characters look, the way the characters look. And so I think each different game sort of takes its own look at this sort of dynamic that arises, or like the aesthetic that comes out of these games. Oh yeah, so and the question of what's the hardest item to find on Cuffy's Island suspension, the Ankh is the hardest for regular players. Wait, what's the dive button? Okay, so let's go underwater here. So I'm underwater. This looks quite deep. Let's go down to the bottom and take a look. So I love it how it gets darker. Okay, so we're at the bottom now. So let's say I'm swimming around. Then I'm just kind of like thinking what types of stuff can happen under here. So underwater, like maybe if there was this race that has like their village underwater, then interacting with them. As far as I know, characters don't have breath, but this could just be because I'm in something. I could be wrong with that. And so maybe you have to level up your ability to swim underwater, or you have to take something that allows you to swim for longer underwater. Maybe I'm here to like collect some items or something. I definitely think that there's a lot that could be done on that front of what happens underwater. Now, I'm pretty sure there are places that maybe if it's like a less deep location, there are places where there are things underwater. Let's go to the shallows. Hello. This looks like I don't know what that is. Take a look over in the lake a little bit further. so over here we have some plants, but not too much. I'm just gonna go to the like right down there. Yeah, just make your own server to get admin stuff. True, just play single player. Players don't have lungs yet. We're slowly evolving back into crabs. Yeah, so one point I was just made is like Hightails trailers are now released 4 years ago, still in dev. So I think that's one of the really cool things that we've been able to experience is having people along for the ride of development the entire time. And not just along for the ride, but you could come contribute, you could make differences, you could come build things yourself. It's definitely, or rather, I've definitely been told in a lot of places that like Veloren's dev blogs have really shown into like the core of what's happening, and really shown that it has like a really big community heartbeat. So that's always cool to see. And so yeah, because we get to develop in the open, because we get to show off everything as it goes along, there's two sides. There's a side of we kind of just keep building. We don't have to have our own deadlines. And so the question that comes up very often is, when is stuff going to be released? When is it 1.0? When's it complete? And a lot of this. And that's a question that us don't necessarily need to answer for the time being. And the intention is definitely to have a 1.0, to have a full release. But it's not that we need to have, we only have like a certain amount of budget that requires us to get stuff done in a certain amount of time. And so that allows us in a lot of ways to be creative, try big ideas, allows people to try out things, to come onto their projects and try out things that they want to try. And so, yeah, I think, yeah, there's a lot of different things that we see from how the development is done. With some games, long dev times reflect internal conflict. Yeah, so that's definitely true as well. Is what you are trying to market, like if you overpromise and underdeliver. Yeah, you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. You don't want to say I'm going to have this ready by this certain time and then not have it ready. And that's like another thing. When we would have our release parties in the past, we wouldn't necessarily have or we would have meetings right after. We would talk about, we want to do this for this next person, this. And this was like sort of something I headed up. I would like run these meetings. And a lot of times it was cool to see what types of stuff was going on, but it was rather futile in some ways, because unless someone wanted to come in and do this thing themselves, then it wasn't very likely to get done. And this is why like story and quests have been on the backlog for so many versions. Is that it really does require someone who wants to take complete ownership over it and make it happen. And a lot of the core devs, they have their sides of ownership that they really love doing. And so for myself, I've really loved doing the dev blog. I really love doing like a lot of streaming, a lot of stuff with Git and CI. XMAC has really loved doing server stuff. Sester's really loved doing world gen. Sharp has really loved doing optimizations and world. And so a lot of this type of stuff is not because we need to, or rather a lot of good things that we have in the game aren't because we've said, oh, we need to have this by a certain amount of time. It's we've had someone come in who really wants to make it happen and has made it happen. And so, yeah, definitely when you're on the clock, when you have a certain amount of runway with a game dev studio, or you have people maybe working on stuff that they don't want to work on, or don't know how to complete in a certain amount of time, or anything like this. There's a lot that can definitely lead to there's some stuff happening. I'm also just like kind of looking at the reflections here even more. Oh, interesting. On the left side, we got some like interesting shader stuff happening with that pillar. Very cool. A little bit of funkiness. But yeah, we see like that tree over there in the water. Yeah, like right over here. That's pretty awesome. And then I guess maybe the mountains off in the distance. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, because I know. So Zester's been working on Reflections, and I'm not sure if there's anyone else who's been working on it as well. But yeah, just coming in and wanting to make it happen, and just like having that passion to do it. Oh yeah, I'd be baffled if you said you play Hytale. Okay, so Hytale is just like trailers, like, I guess not released. I'm not sure if they had like a demo or anything. Screen space reflections are kind of funky at times. Yeah. I love that though. So there is definitely stuff in the game that is funky. One of the things that so like you see like the mountains off in the distance, and on screen, I don't know if this could come through. Oh yeah, it's definitely not coming through at all. Okay, never mind. I was just gonna say sort of like the texture that get put on mountains to make it look like they're all cubes kind of thing. It's very funky, and I think it adds quite a lot to making it feel not just like a flat world off in the distance. And some of the stuff with shadows might be a little bit funky and all this kind of stuff, but it adds a lot to. I mean, it all looks great, makes the game look very, very great, but we don't need to necessarily make everything. We can go with our own style. I was talking with Zestra when we were looking at Water last time, and I was saying what games were you inspired by to like make Water look like this? And Zestra was like, oh, I just wanted to make Water look like something. I wasn't like particularly inspired by a specific game. It's just I wanted to make it look in like a certain way. And I just love the blues. Oh my goodness, the blues. So you can kind of like see the way it looks as it gets a little bit deeper there. Yeah, so another question here. I was playing Veloren for a while, but I stopped a while back and was wondering if the combat overhaul ever happened. So I know there's been combat overhauls. It definitely depends on the timelines. I know there's a lot of work put into animations. There's a lot of work put into how swords and hammers and everything else works. So not entirely sure what the history looks like on that. Oh my goodness, is this a cave? Whoa, okay, we're exploring. I don't know how I was walking around here for so long I didn't see this. Oh, cool, what's over here? Yeah, here's like another example that in the world, this site got spawned. And this is one of my favorite examples of site stuff, because if I'm not mistaken, so Zestra did a Veloren reading club on how CSG shapes in the world work, and so how stuff is put together, how you can sort of like define these shapes procedurally, and then put them together and make stuff look in certain ways, and stuff like this. And I think the person who worked on this, I'm not entirely sure what it's called, but like this type of structure was directly inspired by that talk. I could be mistaken about specifics here. I might be completely wrong, but this is so cool. And yeah, just like the way everything looks, and okay, they're kind of just chilling over here. Oh wait, sorry. This is a sea temple, is it not? It's a new dungeon, I believe. So maybe this is different than the one I was thinking. Yeah, they don't seem very happy with me. So maybe this is the new sea chapel. Okay, let's take a look at this. It also could be that I don't know how to start the dungeon, you know. We'll see if I can. Okay. So let's see here. Can I go in here? What are the restrictions? If someone wants to tell me how to go in, that would be helpful. This always happens that during like a release part, I rely on like all of the other devs to help me out. Okay. Ooh, a chest. Okay. So we're down here. Leather shoulder pads. Oh yeah. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now we're talking. Oh, that's pretty cool. Let's go explore up here. Wait, do you climb the rope? Is that oh, it is a thing you can climb. Oh, that's cool. So I guess the dungeon's like more of a vertical type of thing. Okay, there we go. I made it to the top. Minor potion. Very cool, very cool. Okay, so yeah, we got this entire area over here. Wow, the giant cheese reflection. That's very cool. Let's turn my lantern off here. Ah, screen space reflections. I'm very happy with that. They've killed all of the protectors. All right, let's go over to the dungeon that I saw over here. Where was it? There it is. All right, so I think we'll explore this, and then we'll probably call the stream after this one. You can use a pickaxe to mine cobwebs. That's not the first time I've been told by someone to use a pickaxe to solve my problems. And well, I've been streaming. So I should. Do I have a pickaxe on me? Oh, I do. Oh, very cool. Okay, let's go like this. Like a flying ability. Okay. We can now. I don't know. Am I able to mine these ones? I don't know. All right. Let's go cave splunking. Oh gosh, it amazes me every. So we like all the spiders and everything. They are so creepy. Those are blending into the surroundings very well. They're creepy, but they're also very, very cute. I was playing Satisfactory recently, and the spiders in there, I'm not a fan of those. All right, here we go. I don't know where the next direction is. Is it over here? Ooh, yeah. Oh wait, I've been playing this song for a super long time. Let's oh yeah, a little bit of upbeat. Okay. So I think there's a question I skipped over earlier. It was like, what's in store for 0.15? I know there's already some items that we were hoping to get merged, or rather, they were waiting to get merged in, and we just didn't get them merged with the release party coming up. But I don't remember what all these systems are. So I know that there is some stuff in the pipeline already. As always, there's very large items that are being worked on, and so I think I feel like of recent some work has been going into the plugin system, but I'm not entirely sure about that. And I think Zester has been doing some new stuff on World Gen. There might be more dungeons on the way as well. I'm not entirely sure. I want to go for like a big dive. All right, it was a medium-sized dive right here. Never mind, it's very short. Oh. Hello, bye. All right. I don't know how far I'll get down here. That was taking me back home. All right. Yeah. So, a few more questions here in chat. I've made weapons and items for Trove in the past, so I'd be able to contribute to this game. So yeah, definitely when it comes to contributions, this is something that we always want to continuously improve, is like make it easier and easier for people to contribute. But when it comes to art assets, when it comes to concept art, when it comes to just general contributions, there's a lot that we love to see. And having new people be involved, having new inspirations for things is always really great. And so trying to have a lot of that where possible is something that we strive for. And there's definitely stuff that can always be improved. And so, for example, making sure that our system of so like the asset pipeline, there's like some people, there's several like of the core developers that will be like looking over stuff, and so you'd be communicating with them on like what we worked on. But then on the other hand, when it comes to some of the design stuff, there's like quite a few discussions that would happen on that front. Again, in the future with plugins, we definitely hope that it becomes something that you can just sort of add in on your own. But yeah, definitely contributions. We love contributions. We love new contributors. It's always great to see. And I was looking at so I do like a. Actually, I'll just swap back over to the other screen here. Back over to Chrome. If I can find it. Okay. So, inside of our release post, we have the changelog section, all the contributors who contributed to 0.14, and so I just do like a git short log to steal the names. Now, this isn't perfect because we don't get a lot of people who do like non-code contributions, and so that's something we need to improve on. But there's a lot of names in here I don't recognize, which is awesome because it means that there's new people coming in helping with translations, with just code, with assets, anything like this. Always super cool to see. Yeah, so that's it for we'll call it here for today's stream. So yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. And it was a pretty chill release party. It was pretty nice. You didn't have to worry too much about everything. Okay, and actually I was time locked to this. Let's go to like the last 3 hours. Oh, okay, yeah, we hit 150. Pretty nice. Yeah, so that's all for today. Thanks for coming out, and we will catch you on the next release.